Hello, I'm Rich Gottfried, Service Department Supervisor here at Power Test Incorporated. Today we're going to be covering a 900C auxiliary pump filtration update. To begin, you need to remove your cover panels, which we have already removed here, and then locate and identify your auxiliary pump. You need to first locate your auxiliary pump filter, which is located right underneath your 150-gallon tank. You also have 3 valves you need to close. Valve 1, Valve 2, and Valve 3. So the next step is to locate and identify the control valve housing. It's circled in your step 2 on your instruction manual. There's 4 Allen bolts that need to be removed. I'm going to be doing that. There are springs that will push against the housing, so be careful not to lose the inner springs or O-rings. They can stay in place. There's no need to actually remove those springs or O-rings. So as you can see, there's a little bit of pressure pushing back. Here's your springs and your O-rings. Make sure you don't lose those or drop those where you can't find them. Once the control housing has been removed, we gain access to this plug here. Remove the plug. Locate your pipe plug and the parts that you received. Insert the plug in the hole. Once it becomes snug, get your torque wrench and torque to 50 inch-pounds. Reinstall the plug cover. Next, we're going to be reinstalling the control valve. Properly locate this. Make sure your O-rings haven't moved or been adjusted. Make sure the spring is still in place and hasn't fallen out. These bolts need to be torqued to 9.3 foot-pounds of torque. Step 7 shows identifying the brass cartridge filter plug, which is right here underneath the solenoid. We need to remove this and then pull the filter out. The next step is going to be then putting a hose adapter in this spot. We're going to be covering that in 2 steps. Thread this into the end of the filter and use it as a puller and pull the little brass filter out. Next, we're going to be installing the hose adapter into that hole. Looks like this, included also in your kit. You're going to thread it back into that hole where you remove the filter from. Next, we're going to be installing the hose on this bar we just installed. This hose needs to get connected here with a 90-degree and get routed back towards the filter housing that we identified earlier. I'm just going to lay it in there and install the fitting. This is the shorter of the 2 hoses that we identified that we got with the kit. It needs to get put on here and needs to get tightened up. You might want to keep this fitting a little loose, just so you know where these hoses are routed at the end. You might need to move this around to make it reach where it needs to go. The next step is to identify and remove the plug at the top of the charge pump. It's located at the end of the auxiliary pump, which is right here. We need to remove this. We're going to install a fitting and then install a longer hose on that fitting. Next, we're going to prepare the existing auxiliary filter assembly with our 2 hoses. We have the long hose and the shorter hose we just installed. We have the current hoses which are hooked up to the filter assembly as it sits right now. One of the hoses is going to be discarded in this step, and the other hose is going to go up to the bottom of the tank where this hose back here is hooked up to. So we're going to go through that step by step. First step is obviously make sure your valve is shut, which should have been from step 1. We're going to remove these hoses and remove the fittings, and then we're going to install the new fittings and install the long and short hose. Short hose goes to this side, long hose is going to go over to here like that. So I'm going to go through that right now. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be talking about is removing this hose that we removed from the filter housing and putting this hose in its place that goes to the front of the auxiliary pump. I'm going to do that right now. Grab your 1¼ wrench. Remove and discard this hose. Install this one that's at the front of the auxiliary pump. Once we have this hose hooked in, do not snug it up yet. Go through and make sure your hoses are all out of the way, out of any pinch points or any rotating pieces of equipment. Again, we left the hoses that we hooked up, the short and long hose, at the front of the auxiliary pump. Make sure these are zip tied out of the way. Tighten those at this time. Come back, tighten all your fittings, double check them. Open up all your valves. You have 3 valves again that we closed in step 1. A valve here, 1 valve here, and 1 valve back here. Go ahead and open those up. Make sure you don't have no leaks before you fire up the machine. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions on how to do this, please give us a call here at 262-252-4301. Hello, Rich Godfrey here at Power Test Incorporated, Technical Service Department Supervisor here at Power Test Incorporated. I just said Power Test Incorporated twice. You need to locate your auxiliary pump filter, which is located right down here underneath the auxiliary tank. It's not called an auxiliary tank. No. I don't know why I call it auxiliary tank, but it's located right down here.